What's up, everybody? Brothers, sisters, psychonauts, and seekers of truth. It is Ananka, and welcome to my bazaar. Today, I have a ketamine trip report for you. The title of this trip report is A New Heaven, and was submitted to Erowid in 2016 by the user Modern Jesus. With all that being said, let our story begin. Drug background. I've done practically every drug you can imagine, ranging from small to heavy doses throughout my life. From many different types of psychedelics, to stimulants, to sedatives. I'm a veteran. I should also note that I am what is commonly considered to be clairvoyant, with background in occult practices. T-0. Before I started my workday, I had taken a quarter tab of 1p LSD, 25 UG, as I typically do almost every other day for energy, focus, mood, etc. There was nothing out of the ordinary about my day, and was having an awesome day and was in a great mood. 8 o'clock. I got home from work and felt an unusual urge to dive into a K-hole. So I followed my gut and proceeded to prepare my shots. I started this experience the same way I always do. I went into my temple, meditation room, and I placed the syringes before Ganesh's shrine to be blessed. I asked for my guides to keep me safe during this journey, and asked for myself to be placed in a positive timeline. I bow, thank the gods, and then proceed to go to my bedroom and set up my speakers, blindfold, rubbing alcohol, etc. I'm all set now. Before I lie down, I try something different this time. I speak to the universe. It is my intention to be attuned and reconnected back to my memory bank and the Akashic records through my being. And I ask to be flooded with the highest amount of information I can handle at this time. During this process, it is my will to connect with my higher self. And I ask him to orchestrate this for me. May the energy flow for as long as it's needed. Thank you. This intent was the only thing I had done differently this time around. 9 o'clock. I lie down and put on my usual ketamine playlist. Merlin's Magic, Healing Harmonies. You can find it on YouTube. I vaporize a bowl and bless it with my intentions. I have found through repeated experiences and experiments that getting stoned beforehand intensifies the whole. I then proceed to inject 150 milligrams of ketamine into my thigh, followed by 70 milligrams intranasal. I put my blindfold on, get comfortable, and prepare to blast out. As the effects started to come on, with the typical gradual dissociation and detachment, frequency increase, high-pitch ringing, and feeling that warm and fuzzy dissociative blanket cover me, everything began to get much more serious and intense. And I knew quite quickly that this experience was going to be much different than anything else I'd ever gone through before. Normally, when I enter the K-hole, the typical experience consists of something that is comparable to an immersive, VR, cyberpunk lucid dream, where I fly around through familiar subconscious matrix memories, and I end up forgetting the vast majority of what I experience. due to the memory creating part of the brain being switched off. Extreme time dilation is something typical, and I normally come out of the experience dazed for a few hours. I can usually expect a good memory defrag, and I always use the experience to tweak internal programs and beliefs while I am in the astral. However, during this experience, I was propelled into the highest levels of supposed memory that I have never gone into before. And it was much more colorful, vivid, and realistic than any of my typical experiences. Time was extremely dilated, much more so than normal. And the entire experience felt like it could have lasted several days. However, as usual, I only remember fragments that I was able to hold on to. Time meant nothing. I flew through infinite layers of new and vivid landscapes, and I even remember going to a processing facility. For a period of time, I was convinced that I had accidentally killed myself and that I was never coming back. But I made peace with this. I felt as if I had opened up or attuned to some type of portal system. I was presented with the choice to live or die. And I remember making the conscious choice to keep living. What happened next is even more hazy. I vividly remember being engulfed in a type of blue energy field and being surrounded by many, many beings. I remember seeing many blue orbs. I distinctly remember accepting a request and merging my being with another entity. I also remember through different unique melodies playing during my playlist that I know that I've never heard before. The memory of the rest of my experience is foggy, but it consisted of flying through many novel and immersive landscapes until I reached the point of being back in my body about an hour and a half later. 10:30. I came out of this experience feeling absolutely ecstatic and filled with new and empowered energy. I am now able to see many new possible timelines that I wasn't able to see before. However, I felt different. I felt amazing. But I also felt like I wasn't alone with myself. I stretched and had a shower while listening to music, and felt the urge to ask, who else is residing in my body? What immediately came out of my mouth, with a strong tone, was Ishtar. I then proceed to laugh hysterically and have a conversation with this being. The details of this conversation, I cannot remember. The rest of the experience is negligible, but I'm left with new perspective, reassurance, and a new lust for life. Speculation. Intuitively, I feel that it's possible that the heavens or astral have transformed, and there is a distinct newness to the territory. This may be the long prophesied time of the new heaven and new earth now being manifest. I also feel that it is possible that I experienced what is commonly referred to as a walk-in experience with another entity/spirit, with this being that called itself Ishtar. Since this experience, I feel as though I've acquired a new type of expansion pack to my being. Perhaps I made a soul contract with another being. I can only speculate. I feel that it's likely that when a person opens themselves up to the astral realms, that they open themselves up to the possibility of unexpectedly encountering trans-dimensional beings who may or may not have their best intentions at heart. I strongly advise asking for spiritual protection and having intentional direction during this experience. I've gone through 100 plus K-hole experiences in my life, with and without other psychedelics in my system, so I know what to expect normally. I've even gone into the K-hole while being on much higher doses of acid, and even 2CB before, and never, ever in my life have I ever experienced anything like this. I am very familiar with the typical terrain of the astral, but I cannot stress that this was very different. This experience report pales in comparison to the actual experience itself, and is an overall poor rendition of the scope and magnificence that was experienced. But this is the best of what I was able to remember and structure into words. With ketamine in higher doses, it's practically impossible to bring anything back, so to speak. Ketamine is one hell of a drug. Treat this sacrament with the respect that it deserves. And please, journey safe.